Jada has had her world more ways than one. After falling in love with Rafe, she believed she had finally found stability and happiness. But that illusion was shattered when she discovered the shocking possibility that the man she had been with all along might not have been Rafe at all, but an imposter, Arnold Feniger. However, before she could confirm the truth, her emotions got the best of her, leading her into an impulsive night of passion with Sean. Jada, desperate for comfort and clarity, found solace in Sean's arms, but neither of them anticipated the consequences of their actions. The guilt was immediate, but the real complication arose when Jada later discovered she was pregnant. And she knew without a doubt that the father was Sean. As if Jada's personal turmoil wasn't enough, a bombshell revelation shakes up Salem. Stephanie, who has been investigating the mystery surrounding Rafe, uncovers alarming details. Gabby, Rafe's sister, also stumbles upon the same truth with the help of Alex. The evidence suggests that the man Jada had been with all along may not have been the real Rafe, but a cunning lookalike, Arnold Feniger. But the truth comes too late. Jada, still believing in the man she loved, had already made a life-altering decision. She would never reveal that Sean was the father. As far as the world and Rafe was concerned, this baby belonged to him. She vowed to take this secret to her grave. With Arnold exposed and the real Rafe struggling to recover his memories, Jada is faced with a painful dilemma. Rafe, once he regains his identity, will undoubtedly want to reunite with the woman he loves. But Jada now carries a secret that could destroy their future together. Despite her guilt, Jada doubles down on her deception. She convinces herself that Rafe deserves to believe this baby is his, that telling the truth would only bring unnecessary pain. But can she truly keep the secret forever? Salem has never been kind to those who hide the truth. Meanwhile, Sean is caught in the crossfire. Though his actions were never meant to cause harm, he now unknowingly faces the possibility of fatherhood with Jada. But Jada never intends to tell him. She keeps her distance, ensuring that Sean never questions the child's paternity. But secrets have a way of unraveling in Salem. What happens if Sean starts to suspect the truth? And how will Belle react if she learns about Sean's indiscretion and, worse, the child he never knew was his? Throughout his life, Rafe has always yearned for a family of his own. His bond with David Ridgway gave him a glimpse of what fatherhood could be, but that dream was cruelly taken from him. Now, as he fights to reclaim his life and the woman he loves, the possibility of fatherhood once again dangles before him. But what if the child he believes to be his is actually another man's? Jada's pregnancy not only creates a rift between her and Rafe, but also forces her to maintain an impossible deception. If she confesses the truth, she risks breaking Rafe's heart and losing him forever. If she keeps it hidden, she will be trapped in a lie that could destroy her happiness in the long run. No matter what, the consequences will be devastating. A ticking time bomb. Salem is no stranger to secrets, but they never stay buried for long. Jada is determined to take this lie to her grave, but how long can she really keep it hidden? Will a slip of the tongue expose her? Will Sean demand a paternity test? Or will Rafe notice something is off? One way or another, the truth always comes out. And when it does, Jada's carefully constructed world may come crashing down. Will Jada be able to keep her secret for life? Will Sean step up if he learns the truth? And what will happen to Rafe when he finds out the baby he thought was his never was? One thing is certain, this drama is far from over, and Salem will never be the same again. Stay tuned, because this tangled web of secrets and lies is only getting started. It was a Monday unlike any other, a day that would unravel secrets, ignite fears, and set two determined women on a collision course with a man they believed held all the answers. At the heart of this unfolding drama were two sisters-in-law united by love for a man they feared might be lost forever. Their pursuit would lead them through a maze of lies, hospital corridors, and a grand mansion where a confrontation steeped in desperation awaited. The story began in the sterile, fluorescent-lit halls of the hospital. The air was thick with tension as the two women stood over a shredded piece of paper, a DNA test report that had just turned their world upside down. The results were clear. The man they had been caring for, the man whose every breath they had watched with hope, was not family. "Whoever I pulled that hair from," one of them whispered, her voice trembling with disbelief, "is not my relative." For weeks, they had clung to the belief that this man was the brother of one and the husband of the other. Now, that certainty lay in tatters, scattered like the torn report at their feet. The woman who had been at his bedside day and night, never leaving, felt a wave of relief mixed with dread. She hadn't betrayed her vows, hadn't shared a bed with an imposter, but the truth brought no comfort. If this man wasn't her husband, then where was he? Her sister-in-law, equally shaken, stared at the pieces of paper, her mind racing. They had been deceived, but by whom? And why? The man lying in that hospital bed wasn't her brother, but that didn't prove he was the dangerous figure they suspected, an imposter named Arnold, a name that sent shivers down their spines. Guilt gnawed at them both. How had they missed the signs? How had they not seen through the charade sooner? He needs us now more than ever, the wife said, her voice firm despite the tears welling in her eyes. Her sister-in-law nodded, though panic was rising in her chest like a storm tide. What if he's not even alive? She choked out, her imagination spiraling to the darkest corners. But the wife, ever the steady hand, reached out and squeezed her arm. We'll find him. Together we'll bring him home. Their resolve hardened, but so did the questions. If the man in the hospital wasn't who they thought, then who had orchestrated this deception? The sister-in-law wanted answers, needed them, and for a moment she considered confronting the imposter alone. She pictured herself standing over him, demanding the truth as he begged for mercy. But the wife pulled her back from that brink. No, she said sharply. We can't risk the legal mess that would follow. We need to do this right. And so, their focus shifted to a new target, a powerful man with a reputation for secrets, a man they believed held the key to unlocking this nightmare. The wife's mind flashed back to a moment in the tunnels beneath the city, a memory that now took on chilling significance. She had been searching for her husband, calling his name into the damp, echoing darkness. She had heard his voice, faint but unmistakable, or so she'd thought. Now, she realized it hadn't been the workers she'd heard, it had been him, trapped somewhere, calling out to her. The realization hit her like a punch, fueling her determination to confront the one man she suspected knew more than he let on. That man lived in a sprawling mansion, a place of wealth and shadows where the air seemed to hum with hidden agendas. The sister-in-law arrived first, her heart pounding, a gun trembling in her hand. She wasn't alone, her sister-in-law, equally fierce, stood beside her as they stormed through the heavy oak doors. Where is he? She demanded, her voice cutting through the silence of the grand foyer. Where's my brother? The man they faced, cool, composed, and utterly unruffled, met her fury with a raised eyebrow, as if her outburst were nothing more than a mild inconvenience. The accusations came fast and fierce. Kidnapping, deception, replacing her brother with a doppelganger. In the room stood another woman, a family friend, her face paling as the words sank in. She had her own reasons to fear this man, reasons tied to her daughter's future and the kind of legacy he might leave behind. She didn't want him anywhere near her unborn grandchild, not with his cold, calculating ways. The sister-in-law didn't notice her distress. Her world had narrowed to the man before her, the one she blamed for tearing her family apart. He tried to dismiss them, his voice smooth as silk but edged with irritation. You're trespassing, he warned, motioning toward the door. Get out. But the sister-in-law wasn't leaving, not without answers. The others in the room, the friend, the staff, eventually drifted away, sensing the storm about to break. And break it did. Alone with him now, the sister-in-law's desperation reached its peak. She raised the gun, her hand steady despite the tears streaming down her face. Tell me where he is, she said, her voice low and dangerous. Tell me or I swear. He stared at her, momentarily thrown by the intensity of her resolve. Confusion flickered in his eyes, but he masked it quickly. He didn't know, couldn't know, that the brother she sought had been swapped with a man who wore his face, a cruel twist of fate she was only beginning to unravel. She didn't care about his denials or his protests. To her, he was the architect of her pain, and she was done waiting for the truth to come to her. This wasn't just a search for a missing man anymore. It was a battle for family, for trust, for the fragile hope that somewhere out there, her brother was still alive, fighting to come back to them. The gun in her hand wasn't just a weapon. It was a symbol of how far she'd go, how much she'd risk, to bring him home. And as the man before her stood silent, the tension stretched taut between them, a single question hung in the air: what would she do next? For the two women, the journey was far from over. The hospital, the tunnels, the mansion, they were pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit together. But they wouldn't stop. Not until they found him. Not until the lies were stripped away and the truth, no matter how painful, was laid bare. In a world of doppelgangers and deception, their love for him was the one thing no one could fake, and it would carry them through the darkness, no matter what lay ahead.